This is The Refuge Project.
Welcome to The Refuge Project. Today, I am your host, James, and guess who's back?
Yeah.
Caesar's back!
I'm so glad you hit the right button, man.
I started to hit the wrong one. I started to hit the...
Oh, there we
But
go. There we go.
it's all good.
You've been practicing.
Yeah. Well, it didn't quite work.
I could just think in the dead of night, you're just your fingers just flickering.
That's right.
And you're like, I need to hit the
That's
right
right.
button.
That's right.
Hey, it's good to be with y'all again. Scheduling conflicts. That's why I haven't been here. That's it.
And that's also why you're here.
And that's also why I'm here. Scheduling conflict. Pastor David was not able to make it on the same bat time at same bat channel. Mm-hmm. So I just happened to be here.
Something about his work truck. I don't even remember.
He's had a lot of problems with that work truck.
Work truck not working. Sounds like a work.
Yeah, it's counterintuitive. So
Yeah.
I feel like saying, yeah, if you have anything to say about that, just drop a comment in the chat. We don't have one.
That's true. We don't have one.
Who are we talking to? It's just you and me.
It's just nobody even listens anymore. It's been a while since you've been on here. We went to 0 listeners. So
0 listeners. Wow. Come on,
yeah,
Russia.
When David's on here, he talks about how everybody listens to us. When he's not here, I just talk about how nobody listens to us.
It's probably Trump's fault.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm back on it.
It might be Trump, could be Biden.
Ukraine,
It's-
Elon,
It's probably Elon. Ever since Elon got Twitter,
Twittering.
yeah.
What does he call himself? Chief Twit? I don't know.
Actually, I think he stepped down. Didn't he step down as CEO?
Yeah, but I think it's one of those things that just kind of like appease his
Mm-hmm.
shareholders and other companies because he took like a $200 billion hit. But I don't know. He doesn't seem like it's really phasing him.
I mean, he does what he wants.
Yeah, but hey. So let's see. What does Pastor David always say? So how was your week?
It's been good so far. I think it's nighttime this time, and so I'm a little thrown off. My whole week has been off. So, dude, here's something. Let me tell you about this.
I need to hear it.
You need to hear it. So, today is Tuesday. So, I don't know if you heard my dad no, because you weren't here Sunday.
I was not here.
So, Sunday, my dad was telling the church, at some point when he was up on stage, he was saying, hey, Brooklyn Tabernacle. Dude, I can't say the word. I was telling Ben this story earlier today, and I still couldn't say the word then.
Wait,
Tabel.
you can't be saying those kind of things when I'm drinking coffee, man. I was about to.
Tabernacle.
Tabernacle.
Yeah, the Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir.
Wow.
Gosh, dude, I've never had trouble saying that word until today.
If captions was a human.
Anyway, they're in Houston, and they're doing 2 services things. They're doing one tonight.
In Katy.
Well, last night was Katy. Tonight it's still close to Katy.
Oh, it's like First Baptist or something, right?
Yeah. One of those big churches. And anyway, so my dad texted me, my brother, my sister yesterday during the day. Said, "Hey, we're gonna go to the thing. Anybody interested in coming?" And long story short, I said yes, we're going. So it's me and Tara are supposed to go with my parents now. We're gonna go meet at their house, drive an hour across town, go watch
Today.
Yesterday. And so we're supposed to leave at like 5 or something. And then my dad, he calls me back at around 3 in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. And he probably doesn't want me telling this story, but whatever. He goes...
Probably don't listen.
Yeah, he's not listening to this. It's fine. My mom might listen. She'll get all mad because she got upset. But anyway, so he calls me at like 3 and he says, hey, so, okay, so, because it's a free event tonight, but I just found out you're still supposed to have a ticket. So I went to get a ticket. They're free tickets, but they're sold out of tickets. So they've already given out all the tickets that they were going to give out. And I said, oh, okay, well, and he goes, but, he goes,
here we go.
He goes, but the one tomorrow night's not sold out yet. So I reserved some tickets for them. And I looked at them, and I'm pretty sure the tickets are the same tickets as the ones for tonight with just a different date on it. And he goes, I'm pretty sure if I print these tickets, I can make it look like the tickets for tonight. If you want to go, I think I can make it work. I'll get to work on it. And But remember, it's a free thing.
Yeah.
They don't cost anything.
Yeah.
Basically, this is just a way of them to like understand how many people to expect. And I'm sure that's the gist of it. So my dad.
By the way, real quick, interjection, real quick. So, was your dad on that Taylor Swift Ticketmaster debacle?
No,
okay.
So I said, look, he goes, but I don't know. We could get down there and they say, no, this isn't the right ticket. You can't come in, and it's like an hour across town. And I said, look, if you want to go, I'll go. I don't. We're in whatever you want to do.
And it's at a church, right?
It's at a church, yeah.
Okay.
And he goes, all right, well, let me work on this. So I'll call you back. And so I text him at like 4:30 or so. I say, hey, so what are we doing this? And he goes, yeah, I got him. He goes, your mom's pretty mad. I don't know if she's gonna come. She thinks we're.
You guys are running a heist.
Yeah.
It's a heist. It's a legitimate heist.
He goes, I don't think she's coming, but if y'all want to go, I said, we're in. If you're going, we'll go. And he goes, all right, yeah, come on over. So we go. And we drive across town. We get there. We hit all this traffic. We get there like right as the thing's supposed to start, like 5 minutes before. Mm-hmm. And we walk in, and there's people at all the doors to go into the sanctuary, like greeter people.
Yes.
But none of them are taking tickets.
So go ahead.
Yeah, he's got this. So we're gonna go to the balcony, right? And we go up there. My dad was ahead of me on the stairs.
Okay.
And so I get like halfway up the stairs. This is the one time you might actually want to play the song. Yeah. And as I'm getting to the top of the stairs, he's coming back down the stairs, and he's going, "Go back, go back." And I said, "What?" And so I turn around. He goes, "This lady's actually checking tickets up here. Go back down." And so we go back down because we had already almost went in at the bottom, but we stopped to go to the bathroom first. The music's done. So then we just went in at the bottom, and nobody asked for anything, and we sat in, and it was fun.
Yeah, we're good.
And there was plenty of seats there. We didn't like steal somebody's seat, but
Your
it was a pretty full.
ended up.
My mom did not come. She felt like
in
we were
protest.
She was very. She did not feel like this was an okay thing to do.
Okay.
To sneak into a free event.
At a Christian church.
Which we didn't even sneak in. We just walked in the door. We were welcomed. Everybody was happy we were there. We were happy we were there. It was...
you know who else was happy that you were there?
The Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir. Jesus was happy I was there, for sure. It was they did a great job, too. It was really nice, and we had a good time.
I'm conflicted.
I think everybody was a little bit.
Yeah, I'm thinking of, like in the cartoons, whenever you have the little angel on one side, and you got the little devil, and little horn dude on the other side, and then they're like, "Do it, no, don't go, no, do it, don't go."
We didn't lie to anybody. We just walked in. That was it. We didn't.
But your intention
was to listen to some good Jesus music and hear about the Lord.
Yeah, they're like Grammy Award winners and stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty legit.
They all sang amazing. It was actually pretty sad. They, before the thing started, so they had the pastors of...
Simbala, is that their last name?
I don't know. My dad could tell you. I couldn't tell you. But it's the guy and his wife, and the wife helps write all the songs they do and all that stuff. So they were there. And so they spoke before they started singing and all. And they said that before the COVID stuff, their choir is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
And
gigantic,
it's got like
400 members or something?
Yeah, it's got several hundred people in it. If you want to be in their choir, you're like on a waiting list, and they check all this stuff, make sure you're legit, and nobody gets paid and all that kind of...
I'm surprised they didn't try to walk up there and sing with the choir.
Yeah. But so that's how it was before COVID, and they were saying, then after COVID, we're shut down for like 16 months, yada, yada, yada. And now they had like 25, 30 people on stage singing last night, and they said that's the whole choir now. That's all they got. That was all they could get. And all those people, they take off work to come down and all that kind of... So it was kind of sad.
Do they at least fly them over here?
I guess. I don't know.
I would hope so.
But they did great. It was fantastic. They all sang great, and yeah, it was really good.
See, people get mad at us whenever we have 5 singers on stage.
Yeah. This was like 30 people with microphones.
There you go. Yeah. My old church, before I came to Elam, like going on 10 years ago, they were super fans of Brooklyn Tab.
Yeah.
And get here and I hear Brooklyn Tab, so it's like, hey, we didn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And my wife was like, she she really liked it. So she's out there making pots today in the garage on her wheel. She's listening to Brooklyn Tab out there.
Now that's interesting because she didn't have a church background, right? Like
Not much.
Not much, especially like if you've been. Brooklyn Tab is like being baptized by fire, right? I mean, it's like it's a rite of passage almost for modern day Christians. You're gonna hear a Brooklyn Tab song.
Yeah.
So was this a new revelation for her, or was this something that
Well, I mean, she's heard a bunch of those. I think I had heard they probably did like 10 songs or so, and I probably heard 8 or 9 of them.
Okay, and we've done them here
because my dad's done them in the choir, or my dad sang them in the worship, or something I've heard. Or I think they covered 1 or 2 that was like, what did they do? They did that "Give Me Jesus" song.
No, that's a good song,
which I don't think is originally them. So they did that one.
I was going to try to sing it, but no, I'd spare you right now.
Yeah, thanks. But so I mean, Tara's heard a lot of those songs too, but she heard it from the source this time. So
how did that make you feel as a husband whenever your wife is just doing her pottery works and stuff, and you're just passing by, and instead of her bumping to Cardi B or something like that, she's got Brooklyn Tab just
that's cool with me, man. She can listen to whatever she wants.
Put a smile on your face.
She'll listen to, I think a couple days ago she'll go on these kicks because she'll be out there for a few hours, so she needs a good amount of time of something to listen to. And so she'll go on these kicks where she's also really into, which seems to be big these days, these people listening to the interrogations. You ever heard of this?
I'm not familiar.
This is getting big, where people, because everybody, especially the girls, are all into the murder, everything, all the crime stuff.
Yep.
So now this is a step further, where instead of listening to a podcast or something where they're talking about these crimes, they just put the interrogation online, and people watch an interrogation.
I'm sure you just did a play on words, and I'm too dumb to get it, but interrogation.
No, you were too smart to get it. I didn't know I was doing it. She's been doing that too. But but she'll also just go on these things where she'll watch all these videos of like Christian apologists talking about like debating atheists or
so
stuff.
She's going hard in the paint.
She'll just listen to like any of that stuff. She's just
Nice.
interested. She's just interested in stuff, so she'll listen to it all.
That sounds like a person of depth.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really cool.
But she wants to know,
Right.
She wants to know what she's talking about, what everybody else is talking about. If she hears people criticize something that she's involved with, like she wants to know, is that legit or not?
Right.
If somebody's talking trash about church stuff, she wants to know, like, well, do they have a point?
Right.
And so she'll just listen to other people talk about it.
Which is so cool because if, not that everybody listens to this podcast knows your wife, but she's very quiet whenever you talk to her. Yeah, I mean, I guess to outside people that are not in your family, and directly. So that's just cool. That's just cool. Still waters run deep sometimes, huh?
Yeah. But now she's blasting that choir music.
Man, bumping.
That gospel music, man.
Awesome. Well, my week.
Yeah.
Thanks, James. Got to follow that up.
Sorry.
No, man. No, my week. It's been a little weird. There's some tension and conflict at work. I'm a bivocational preacher, so
nice.
So that's just it's awkward. Going into work, knowing that there's some tension between you and the boss.
You're involved in the tension. It's not
It's almost no. I am involved in the tension, but it's
not like co-workers and stuff.
No, it's the boss. It's the owner.
Fine.
Yeah. So it's he. Let's see. How do we phrase this? It's I'm not above reproach. We all make input errors and things that we do. But one thing in being in Christian leadership for a while now, there's a way that you can correct and instruct in love, right?
Right.
And then there's another way you can do it to destroy and to demean. And it's never nice being on the other side of that. and I don't want to say too much, lest I be accused of attacking someone's character. But you know, whenever you are on the end of that, it never feels good. So this is where we're navigating right now, and you know, and I'm in a place in life as well that I've got. You know, I'm not young anymore, and I'm not old. I'm 35 years old. So
You're not David.
I'm not David.
Geez.
No, I'm not ancient.
Gosh.
You know, but
Could be a lot older.
be a lot older.
You could be so much older.
A whole bunch older. No, anyway, just making light of that. But you know, it's what I'm trying to communicate is that I'm not a teenager anymore. And this is my first job.
Yeah.
It's not, and you know, I've had to. I've had the privilege of managing people, talking to people, getting teams together, organizing, and dealing with conflict, tension, and all that. And whenever you are on the receiving end of that, you know, it's not nice. I get it. I acknowledge where I messed up and I corrected it. But I'm the kind of person you just tell once and that's it. Mm-hmm. And then you get into something else and. Yeah, so anyway, not to harp on that too much, but that's how my week's been going. That happened Friday,
Fun.
And we're navigating through that this week. So, you know, I don't hold any grudges toward my boss, and he's definitely welcome to apologize anytime he wants.
Maybe he will. Maybe he will.
Well, those are character issues. But anyway, moving on, and I think we're going to go into...
Culture Corner.
Here we go.
Go ahead, Caesar. Let us hear it.
It's about that culture. It's about time. That's...
Dude, we've been waiting for somebody to drop a sick flow.
Well, you're going to be waiting a whole lot longer.
I thought today was the day. I thought it was coming back.
One of these, I'm going to get one of these ghostwriters like Drake.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
You're just going to hire Drake.
I'm just going to hire
Be like, hey, we've got this massive podcast that we
Gigantic.
need. It's huge.
You've heard of Joe Rogan?
Yeah. we need some
peon.
Anyway. All right, here's my story. So this story is mostly interesting to me. Well, it's not most, but part of the reason it's interesting is it happened in Montrose, Colorado, which is like 30 minutes outside of the town that my dad just bought that property in. Mm-hmm. So, in fact, they usually fly into this airport whenever they go up there. So this is like, it's kind of a place I know, kind of, sort of.
Okay.
So this is what happened. So there's this mom who's in her 60s and her daughter who's in her 40s, and they own this funeral home in Montrose, Colorado, and they just got busted for selling people's body parts without them knowing. So this is what happened. People would take their dead
ones.
relative there, and they would say, hey, they'd pay them $1,000 to cremate the body.
Okay.
And then the mom/daughter would sell the body parts to some scientific research blah, blah, blah person under the table, and just take some ashes from some of the other cremated people, take a few from here, a little bit from here, put it in an urn, and give it to the people, say, here's your dead grandma.
There you go.
And just never tell them about it. And they were doing this for like 15, 20 years, something like that. They did it for a long time.
Wow.
And they just finally got busted for it. And the mom, who's like 65, she's 69. She's got 15 years in prison. And the daughter, age 46, got 20 years in prison.
Why did the younger get more?
That's tough to say. They didn't give us the details.
Maybe one's a business owner, more complicit in the
Could be.
in the transactions there.
But as you can imagine, the people who paid to have their loved ones cremated are very upset about this.
Naturally.
Because they've got these urns with other people's ashes, and they just found out that like they sold their grandma's head. Wow. It was stuff like that. They would just sell their spine and let some people do some research.
Now, does the article at all say anything about like they can verify that it went to like research or were they just selling it to some creeps?
I don't think they were selling. I mean, who knows, dude? They were selling it. I'm sure they were selling it to anybody who's buying.
Yeah. There's a market for
but
everything.
it said academic research, something along those lines. So supposedly it was, it's people who were supposed to be learning about the body, doing different research, and finding out how the skull.
I mean, that's a horrible story, but at least it's that. You know what I mean? Like, or it could have gone completely sideways, like even more so.
Yeah.
And was like, they were selling their body parts to people that were just like doing creepy things with them.
Could have been a lot worse. Also, these are people already dead. They weren't like murdering people and cutting them up.
Mm-hmm. So how'd they get busted?
So one of their somebody just told on them. Some employee said something they put out some article naming that kind of stuff was going on in this area. And the FBI raided the place.
I can see how people would be angry about that.
I'd be upset if I found out you sold the body of some relative of mine.
Wait, do you want to be put in a box or an urn?
I don't care.
You don't think about that stuff?
I think a box, I guess, but I don't care. I'll be pretty dead.
Yeah.
At the time.
My wife and I, we talk about that quite often, actually.
Yeah.
And I think we both want to be, burned.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I don't want to be like. If I had my way, I would literally want to be like rolled off into like a volcano with magma.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's nice. And everybody's entitled to their own, opinions on what they want with their remains in the after, all that stuff. But as far as me, I can't tell you how long I've thought about. I really have thought about this. I never want to be somebody's shrine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like if people are gonna remember me, I'm thinking of Coco now. If people are gonna remember me, I want them to remember me for an experience that we had together.
Sure.
Some kind of thing like that. But I don't want anybody to look at me. Oh, there's my dad, like my kids or something. Whenever I'm gone,
maybe it is, maybe it's not.
Exactly. But I don't know. I guess if I don't know, if my ashes were to be spread anywhere, I'd want to do it somewhere where it's just inconvenient for other people. You know what I mean?
I can see that, yeah.
Like
What's your top inconvenient place to have ashes spread? Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Like somewhere where you would have to fly there and then take a boat. But
that kind of inconvenience.
Yeah, that kind of inconvenience.
I thought you meant inconvenience that they're there. Like I'm just going about my day and now these ashes are in the way.
Well, that too. Like,
Buffalo
Bayou Park or something like that. But there's probably already a lot of dead bodies in there so that have been unaccounted for. Hey, we're in Houston. We're in Houston. Y'all want to come play? Y'all want to find out? Come to Houston.
I've definitely thought about my death a bunch, but not the specifics of what I want done to my body. That hasn't even crossed my mind.
Donate it to science.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because you are an immaculate man.
Just freeze me and just say...
Did you miss me?
I did. I really did. Yeah. I'm telling you.
Not a part of our culture corner. See, that's my word now. It's that tongue twister.
Tabernacle.
Yeah, for real. Aluminium. This is not my story, but I want to mention it because I talked about Houston and I just want to put this out there. So a couple weeks ago, I think it was last week, apparently we have taquerias here. If you don't have them up north or in the Ukraine or anything like that, we understand. But here, tacos they're God's gift to mankind. I mean, they are just amazing. You can make anything into a taco. It's fantastic. But anyway, the taqueria,
Let's talk about it.
Taqueria out there called the Ranchito. I think it's number 4. Somebody went in there and they robbed the place, and they went in there with a gun, waving it around. They robbed the patrons. They robbed the establishment.
Took all the tacos?
No, they didn't take the tacos. They were taking people's money and their belongings and things. Well, one thing that they did was whenever they turned around, one of the patrons, he was armed, and he shot the guy.
The guy that was robbing him?
The guy that was robbing him. He killed the guy, and he gave everybody their money back, and then he left. And
you say the page, like somebody
was eating tacos. Yeah,
just some guy that was there
that got robbed. Yeah, so he got robbed.
Shoots the guy
as he turns around, and this guy's waving it everywhere, exiting out the door, and so the police put out an inquiry to talk to this guy, but they had to preface it saying, there's no charges on you, but we want to talk to you. So, people especially on social media, on the social spheres, were saying, this guy's a hero, or like, give him free tacos for the rest of his life. And and a part of that is fun to read, and the other sad reality is that just some poor soul out there lost their life because they were playing stupid games and they won a stupid prize.
Probably for just like a few $100, dude.
If even that, right? Yeah. And so
I would not talk to the police if I was him. Probably
that's what people were saying.
I wouldn't go out of my way to do it.
And people were just like, nope. And people are going to be people, and they're like, well, just another piece of garbage off the streets and all that. It's like, look, he's somebody's son. There's a grieving mother out there. There's a grieving family out there. And I get it. He's a criminal, and criminals, they especially if you're not an active member of an active citizen to where you are benefiting the society. I understand it. I understand people's rage when it comes to that stuff. Yeah. But on the other side of it too, it's like, okay, there's a grieving mom, there's a soul. We don't know if he knew Jesus or not, so anyway, but it's a Houston story.
It's a sad story.
Yeah, so anyway, a little more lighthearted now. Celine Dion, this story comes from Rolling Stone, but I'm reading it from an article found in Fox News, so all my conservatives said amen. All right. So Celine Dion fans protest outside Rolling Stone offices after she's left off of the 200 greatest singers list.
Of like all time?
Of all time, according to Rolling Stone.
Oh, she's got to be on there.
And here's the thing. Oh, yeah. I mean, she was a star in the 80s. She's been relevant ever since then. So Celine Dion fans are showing their loyalty towards the singer in a major way. They are protesting in the streets outside of Rolling Stone office buildings in New York with signs and let's see. Yeah, with signs. They're picketing out there to protest the magazine's decision not to include the My Heart Will Go On singer on their updated list of 200 greatest singers of all time. And the fans are shouting, justice for Celine, justice for Celine.
Hey, her heart will go on,
Hey, you got it? There we go.
We go.
Yeah. So, and I know what I was going to say. It's all coming back to me now. There we go. I was searching for one there. I was searching for one. But anyway, so the Canadian singer has yet to respond on this, but the outrage, as you can imagine, because there's not important things happening elsewhere in the world.
Yeah.
So people are focusing their time and attention on this story, but she
should be on there.
She should be on there.
I mean, I don't care, but she should be on there.
Why don't you care about Celine?
I just don't care about their list.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
It's like Rolling Stone. When have they actually been relevant lately?
Not
Rolling Stone is to music publications and articles just as much as MTV is to music videos.
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
It's nobody cares about it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They definitely were a huge thing at one point, and I mean, they still carry some kind of weight. But it's all like the best singers that were ever popular. Mm-hmm. A lot of my favorite bands and artists and stuff are never going to make any kind of list that they would think to put out.
Yeah, and, but and I could see not the outrage to go and pick it somewhere, like get to work, people, but like 200 greatest singers of all time, and especially whenever on the list, and I don't know where they fall on it, but on the list you got people like Billie Eilish, well, she can sing, she's a great singer. Yeah. Kelly Clarkson, great singer. Taylor Swift, I'm on the fence about. Like, she's a great artist, but
you don't think she can sing?
I think she can sing, but I don't think she is what I would classify as a great singer.
My thing is it's a list of 200. It's not like the top 10.
Right.
200. You got to put Celine Dion on there.
I mean, Celine Dion deserves a spot in the top 10.
Yeah.
And then Wanda Jackson, I really don't know who that is. Maybe you do. I don't. Barbra Streisand, Christina Aguilera, Bono, Merle Haggard, Loretta Lynn, Ozzy Osbourne, and others. They made it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Ozzy can't even speak, but and exactly. I mean, would you consider,
number 199?
Would you consider Ozzy Osbourne a great singer?
Some of these people I would consider a great vocalist, but not necessarily a great singer.
Or greatest, to be on the greatest singers list.
I just think there's a difference between being a singer, like that's what they call you, and being a vocalist. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're the same thing. Just like being a rapper is a vocalist, but not necessarily a singer. You're not going to put 50 Cent on that list, but he was a great rapper. Mm-hmm. He was using his voice in the song, just as other people were. So I don't know. It's when you say singer, to me, I'm thinking singing. I'm thinking like Frank Sinatra, or I would think Celine Dion. I would think singers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think like a lot of these rock bands like Bono and Billie Eilish, and I wouldn't think that. Just because I think it's a different thing what they're doing.
I don't know, and I haven't read the article, just like everything else that we comment on, right? like fully. But I think there's probably some confusion there between a great artist, because you don't have to be a great vocalist to be a great artist. Yeah, an artist is kind of encompasses more than just vocal. There's visual. There's the whole artist package.
Just the way the lyrics are presented.
Yeah. So that whole thing. Anyway, so everybody's all up in arms about that, and apparently that just comes with an announcement or something like that she's been dealing with some kind of neurological disease or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know about all that, but Celine Dion, get well, and you are definitely in my top 100.
All right. Well, hey, here's a song for you guys.
I just want to say that this year has been an unexpected blessing. We had no idea what we were in for, and sometimes those twists just happen. I thought the biggest change that was going to happen this year was that I shaved my head. That was child's play. And but as we started this tour, not sure what to expect, we found ourselves every day just more and more thankful for the chance to get to share these songs with a room of people every night, one more time. And I want to give a big shout out to my brothers here up on stage who made this tour even possible. Hutch, Jonathan Allen, Todd Government. And thank you all so much for letting these songs be a part of your life and letting us in for a little while. We love you eternally. Enjoy the rest of your year, everybody. Thank you. Come on.
Typical by Mute Math. That's off the they just put out the Play Dead live album like a few weeks ago, which is the last album they put out. It's probably been like 4 years or something like that since they put out that album, which was their last album. And then right before they started their tour, the drummer and the bassist both basically quit the band right as they were about to go on tour with like a month to go. And so that was what the lead singer there was talking about at the beginning there. Because they still did the tour, which I went to that show. You were at that show, weren't you at that show?
Yeah, I went to
there
that
was
show.
a handful of us that all went to that show. And they put on a good show. They pulled it off. It was Mute Math up there. You know, it was obvious they were missing the drummer. It wasn't quite the same, but it was still like they pulled it off. And the fact that they pulled it off with that little time was a big deal. And they just put this out, so I've been like going on this big Mute Math kick because that's been my favorite band for forever. They've been like the most inspirational band for me for like forever. They got me into music, and everything they do, I'm always like, oh, that's the best. And so they put this, but I haven't been listening to them hardly at all since
They broke up?
Yeah, since they broke up. It was such a bummer. So you'd go listen to, what would happen is I might put something on, and I'd be like, man, this is the best! And I'd be all mad about it. because I was like, they're like, why won't you just be a band again?
Yeah.
But they just put this out. They also put up the whole concert on YouTube. It's just like a camera from the sound desk, and that's it. It's just like a one shot of the thing.
So is this Darren King drumming?
No, this is the other guy, the Hutch. I don't remember his last name is, though. But so, this song is off their first album. This was the song that kind of put them on the map. But this is at the last big show that they recorded there.
Yeah. So this is my wife's favorite band as well.
She's got good taste.
Yeah. And whenever we started dating, then we got married and stuff, and she was listening to this, so she turned me on to Mute Math, and I'd never heard them before that. So the first time that I really was acquainted with them was that concert.
Oh, was that show?
Right after Darren King and the bass player quit. So, but I would have not known the Wiser, you know, because I wasn't that involved with Darren King's drumming. Yeah. But then after going back and hearing Darren King, you're like, oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, this guy's top notch.
Like, I think I told you at that show when you asked me what you think, you know, and my thing with his drumming is just like he's so. I think it's true with all of them at whatever instrument they're doing. They sound so much like themselves at it. So like you could definitely argue that there's better drummers that have more chops and can do more, you know, whatever, even though he's obviously got a lot of talent and skill and all that. But he has his own, when you hear him drum, you go, oh, that sounds like Darren King drumming. When I hear Nate Smith drum, I go, that sounds like Nate Smith drumming. You know, he's very much like that. So to replace him, you don't get the same feel when they're playing. I
heard Nate Smith just a couple months ago. He came on that John Mayer tour. He wasn't playing for John Mayer, but he was playing for his opening act, and it was wow.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. Like when he plays, you go, that sounds like Nate Smith grooving and all. So that was my thing with that. It's the same thing with the bass player that left. He very much has his own style and way of playing, and. So it was kind of sad that they weren't there, but the fact that they pulled it off, and it was a great show. It was great. In fact, that show is actually funny because I had a few friends. Like I brought a handful of people to the show with me.
Is that where you were running around shirtless?
You keep saying that, and I don't remember that.
A shirtless person wouldn't remember that.
Touche, I guess. But that night was crazy though because I was in my van still, and most of the people, I don't know. Yeah, I think most of the people I got to come with me didn't really know about Mute Math before. And I was just like, just trust me, dude. If you want to go to a concert, this is the concert to go to.
Was that when your van broke down?
Yeah. So so we're in Houston. And by the time we get to my van, of course, you know, I parked several blocks away. We go out there and I don't remember what was going on, but I couldn't get it to start and it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And after messing with it for, 40 minutes or so, now it's like 1 a.m. or whatever. And we decided we were going to have to leave it and come back. And so I had called Ben because he was in his own car, my brother. And so I was like, hey, come back. We need you to give us a ride back. But wherever I was parked, I was like, I can't leave it here overnight because I'm going to get towed tomorrow or something. So I was like, I got to move it to a different spot. And so I ran around a few blocks and I found the spot that I thought I could leave it in. And I said, all right, guys, I found a spot, but it's a few blocks away. I think we can push it there. And everybody's like, okay, I guess we got. So we had I was dating Tara at the time. We were just dating. I think we had her in the driver's seat steering. But it's off, so there's no power steering. So she's just pulling it. And it was me and like 4 other people pushing it. Mm-hmm. And so we ended up having to push it past the House of Blues, which is where the show was. And Colony House opened that show, which was my first introduction to them. Which now I like Colony House, so it was a good.
So I have I wouldn't call him a friend, but I have a contact that he's actually their front of house engineer.
Hey, there you go.
I jammed with this guy. He's a fantastic keys player, but so I have him on my feed, on my
Very
socials.
nice.
So every time he's posting, we're in Germany, we're here, we're whatever. And I'm like, dude. Anyway.
Well, so we're pushing the van past House of Blues. We're on the street. House of Blues is right there next to us. And so Colony House is on the street too, like loading up their gear. And so that's on one side of the street. Like on the left side is them in their van loading stuff up. And then on the right side of the street is Paul Meany, the lead singer from Mute Math. And there's a few people talking to him, I guess, like asking for his autograph stuff. And in the middle of the street is me pushing my Astro van. And, and the people from Colony. And so, everybody's looking at us because it's like a whole scene, And the Colony House guys are staring at us. And I was like, oh, hey, guys, great show tonight. They're like, oh, thanks, man. And we're like, that's just, and we pushed it down, we rolled down the hill, put the car in.
Real quick, in Colony House, those, the drummer and the lead singer are Stephen Curtis Chapman's kids.
Which I found out later.
Yeah.
Because I think Rayanne was at that show too, and
so
she
where was their
has to
Christian
look it up.
character and watching you just pull that band?
We had it. There was like I said, there was like 3 or 4 people pushing. There wasn't really anything else they were gonna do. But yeah, so we pushed it, and it was funny because shortly before we had that night, I don't remember how it came up. I was talking to Tara, and I was trying to describe to her how I find myself in weird situations like that somewhat regularly, but it always works out.
It's because your last name is Nissen.
Yeah. I said something about me being a Nissen and all, like we have these issues. I said, but look, even though that happens, we'll have these weird things. I said, if you're with me, it's going to be all right. Like we're going to come out of it okay. You're going to have some times like this where we got to push the car and it's going to be, but like it's going to be okay in the end. And we had some conversation like that before, and she was like, "I don't know. I guess I just have to see."
No
it.
wonder why she married you.
Yeah. So like a week later, this
me.
is happening. We're pushing through, and I think on the car ride home, I was like, "Hey, this is what I'm talking about," because like we had a ride.
Yeah.
Everything was fine. We went back, and I don't remember how we got it, but we were able to get it out, and I think the alternator was out or something.
Like
I don't remember.
Terminator, man. Come with me if you want to live.
It's just like we're gonna have a bunch of But I also told her, I said something about the picture of me pushing my old broken van down the street at like 2 a.m, and my favorite band lead singers on that side and the other bands over there, and I'm just in the middle pushing my broken car. I said something about that just seemed right. And just like a good description for my life.
Yeah, it's symbolic of something.
I don't know exactly what it means.
You won't be able to define it right now, but it'll all come full circle.
So that was the last Mute Math show we went to. Yeah. It was a good time. Yeah. It was a good show, even though my van broke down at the end. But
another interesting thing about Paul Meany and Mute Math, they I guess at one point they were like super into their faith and like saying that out and stuff. And there's a great recording that they did when they were younger. You can hear the youth in his voice. But the song is called King of Glory. So look that up. It's a really good song.
Sounds good.
It's a great song.
Very nice.
Anyway, so for a few minutes, I just kind of want to jump on something that we experienced this last weekend. Like I said, on Friday, all that stuff went down at my job. And on that Friday, after I left, I came straight to church because me and the youth group were going to Buffalo, Texas, which is about 2.5 hours away from here, on a winter retreat. So
this northeast is
this is in between Houston and Dallas.
Okay, up there.
Yeah, up there. You got some kinfolk in that area. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we've been preparing for weeks, months actually, and in the time that we find ourselves right now, there's just a lot of extra planning that needs to go on with prices being sky high on everything, transportation, fuel, and all that. A lot more planning than we're used to. And we got to be conscientious of how much we spend, because if you know anything about where we go to church, we're not one of these gigantic mega churches with gigantic budgets and everything. We do what we can. I think we do fantastic with what we have. Yeah. So anyway, I get here and trying to put my boss's voice out of my mind and that whole situation, knowing that we're about to go into a pretty intense weekend with young people. I mean, one thing with our youth group right now is that all of our older ones graduated last year and the year before that. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty much a fresh group of young people, 7th, 8th, 9th graders, not too many.
Not a lot of seniors.
No, I think we have 2 seniors in our entire group. But hey, we did it. We took, it was 40 people all in all went up there, including leaders. But we went up there, had a great time, and what I really felt impressed to talk about that entire weekend was how whenever we come into relationship with Jesus, there's a couple transactions that take place there. Whenever we trust on Jesus for our salvation, like I said, there's some transactions that take place. And I wanted to start on our past and how that affects our past. Whenever we trust in Jesus for salvation, he frees us from the shame of the past. And if you know anything about teenagers, they're just shame-filled creatures.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I know the worst stuff that I've ever done in my life happened either whenever I was a teen or as a result of a mentality that I grew grew, nurtured, fed in my teenage years.
Yeah.
And they deal with a lot. I would assume that most of our listeners are already adults. And if you've never worked with young people before, talked to young people, and you might be a parent, but it's a very different thing whenever you're kind of on that spiritual mentor kind of path. But if one of the biggest things that I've learned with working with young people is that whenever they are going through anything, to them, they perceive it as a mountain because it is a mountain for them. For me, I might have gone through that when I was 16 or 17. So you could just disregard it, dismiss it, and say you're just overreacting. You're being too sensitive. But to them, it is a legitimate mountain that they cannot overcome. So one of the biggest lessons that I've learned with working with them is empathize with them and be an ear to listen to them. And one of the biggest things that they deal with and they struggle with is shame. They don't know how to internalize it. They do internalize it, but not in a healthy way.
Yeah.
They can't process that. And they feel that if they talk to their parents, they're going to get in trouble. They feel that if they talk to their peers about it, that they're going to be judged.
Yeah.
Or, so where do you talk about it? And unfortunately, and this is true for adults as well, the modern day church, is it really a place that we can come and confess? Is it really a place where we can come and really pour out our hearts, to Jesus and leave it at the foot of the altar? Or are we so stuck in our programming? And maybe that's a conversation for another time, but we're so stuck in our programming that we actually miss the redemptive spirit of God and why people actually come to church.
Yeah.
That's important. That's so important. But anyway, we get there. So that's the first transaction that takes place. He frees us from our shame. He shows us through the Spirit that we are in need of a Savior. And and then so the second night or day, which was Saturday, all day thing, and in between all the services and devotionals, with we have breaks, we eat food, we play games, we run around. Hope Hill Ranch is beautiful, so we have the whole property to ourselves, and you can really just unplug from everything, and it's all interwoven together as far as scheduling. The second aspect or the second transaction happens on how having a relationship with Jesus affects our present. And that is that he empowers us to live a Christian life. He empowers us to actually move forward, deal with the stresses of life, deal with bosses that are being unfair, and or just a present distress. And he gives us everything we need so that we can not only overcome it, but the Bible tells us that we are more than overcomers, and that's not just. I don't believe that's on the other side only. I believe we can absolutely live victorious lives right now. And then third. Because we have a relationship with Jesus, it gives us hope for a future. And, Jeremiah, you can pull from just an entire treasure trove of scriptures talking about the promises of God and what he has for us, for those who believe, and then how he is actively with us, moving us forward. So it was a real powerful weekend. Talked about a lot, dealt with a lot of, just core issues in a young person's development as far as mentality and how to internalize. So, a couple firsts too for me in that retreat. We have a young man, and I won't share a lot of details, but we have a young man that on Saturday night, he'd had some health issues previously in his past that started to flare up again, and I found myself having to take him to the emergency room in the dead of night, over an hour away. And it was wild, man, because it was just me in that van, and I had him back there, and he was just laid out on the back seat and just whimpering and just excruciating pain. And he had to go back to the hospital, so he's in the hospital right now. So we've been checking on him, lifting him up in prayer and all that. But it just served.
Did something happen that like triggered something? Or
I think they said it was just some scar tissue from previous that has. It was just time, and it just so happened to be that time. And again, the only signs of life are in Huntsville, which is an hour back.
Yeah.
So I met his parents there, and they got with him, got him some help. So he's, we're praying for and believing for full recovery. So I know he's still going through that, but yeah, that's just these events that you never really think you're going to be in, and you find yourself in that. And I had to practice what I preach at that moment, and just believe that God was with us, and He was. And we're believing for a full recovery, but. That was this weekend, and for me, some of the big takeaways. Always, whenever you can get out into the wilderness, you can get out and separate yourself from your phone, from your tablets, from your computers and TVs, and all of that stuff. Even negative voices. I know that was me personally. That do it.
Yeah.
Whenever you can, don't ever be so busy that you miss an opportunity to invest in yourself, time alone with God, and just also getting away from all the static. It's just static noise that's just out there in the world that pollutes our minds. And for those young people, I don't even know how to describe it necessarily. Maybe like picture a hot knife through butter. That the way that the Holy Spirit just cut through everything, and we were able to disengage. It was so meaningful and impactful, and I know that they were changed. I know that I was changed, and that's what my prayers were. The staff that we took up there, they totally killed it. They did an amazing job. I think I have the best youth staff, the best youth staff in ever.
Was this something you had to speak at the whole time, or was this something? Okay,
I did. So I had to deliver and prepare for 4 different types of messages, devotionals, and
after you were already upset from all the job stuff.
Oh man, yeah, absolutely, and it never fails. It never fails, because whenever we have any kind of spiritual thing going on around the church, or some kind of event that we're all focusing, convocations are a great example.
Yeah, for sure.
Things always seem to be like at an all-time tension in the build-up to convocation for us. I think Pastor Mark spoke a little bit about that last time, right? And I'm talking to one of the people that we've had on this podcast, Chevo. I talk to him all the time about this, especially around this time, because things always seem to be elevated with people's personalities and stuff, and it's not that they're evil or anything like that. It's just whenever we are, I like to say that whenever the Lord is about to bless, the devil's gonna mess. And that's one of my preacherisms. But it rhymes. It rhymes. It makes sense. People are going to remember that. Yeah. The Lord's getting ready to bless, so the devil's going to start to mess. And say it again. But and it's so true. And I really, and I knew that then. Whenever my boss was getting at me, I'm like, okay, right now this is something else, because I've been there going on 2 years, and this is not a normal thing. Yeah. So I think unbeknownst to him, he was probably being used in all of that to try to throw me off my game. Yeah. But I went in there with a purposed, intentional mentality of what was taking place and what was going to take place, and what I was reassured of, that God was going to move that week and that weekend, and He did. So many takeaways, so many victories, young people being delivered from themselves, from their sin, from all this, and it's it's the joy of my life to do that kind of work. I love ministering whenever I get a chance to anybody who would listen, and especially in that context, because they're kind of forced to listen, at that point. But yeah, man, it was so good. We had a blast, and then so busy, right? Busy, and I actually started taking some classes with some of the other leadership here in the church.
Yeah, you were saying you just came from that.
Yeah, I just came from that right now,
So is this
straight
like
into
a
the podcast.
4-week thing, something like that?
I think it's like a 6-month thing. It's a 6-month commitment, and it's really legit. And it's these guys from, I believe, North Carolina, I think, and they're doctors in divinity and all this stuff, and they work at a church, and it's really good content. But it's just about leadership, with the focus in faith. It's through faith. It's through Jesus, not just like these blanket terms that you find in business or whatever. But one of the things that's very interesting is they talked about an acronym that C.S. Lewis, I don't know if he actually made it, but they pulled this acronym out out of the word busy. And they really are emphasizing you to rethink what busy means. If you're somebody that's constantly busy, are you being busy for the right kind of things, right? But the way that they break it down is that acronym is being under Satan's yoke.
Ooh.
Yeah. So are you a busy person? And what does busy really
So
mean?
they don't want you to be busy.
They don't want you to be busy. No, because a busy person is kind of a person that's led by impulse rather than whenever you plan for things and you prepare for things.
Yeah.
And I see where they're coming from on that. If you can keep a person busy, especially with the mundane stuff of life, then
you don't have time
for anything.
Yeah.
Anything, especially meaningful things.
Yeah.
If you're a person that you're too busy for your kids, you're too busy for your wife, you're too busy for
church,
your church, especially for God, or busy for yourself, like where there are self-developmental things. And I'm not a motivational speaker, I'm a preacher, but God wants us to be the best version we can be in mind, body, soul, right? Spirit. He wants us to be the best that we can be for him. And whenever we lack in any one of these areas, if we're tired all the time physically, we're not going to be beneficial in anything else spiritually, right? Spirit. If you're so tired you can't even pray and you go to sleep, then you're not doing anything in the spirit anymore. Inversely, right? The other side of that is that if you are just so spiritually minded and you're curled up in a cave somewhere for 4 hours, there's people that they're lost, they're hurt, they're dying, they need a voice of reason, they need a voice of hope, they need to see Jesus in somebody. But if you're just in your Christian commune, then you're not going to be beneficial for God at all. And we need to be witnesses. We're called to be witnesses. We're called to live out there in the world. We're not a part of the world. We're not supposed to enjoy what they enjoy and give ourselves the way they give themselves, but we understand that we are pilgrims, that we're just coming through. But that is something I think we can focus on a lot, maybe in another episode. Because in my upbringing as a Christian at 19, I was taught as if now you're saved, now go seclude yourself. And that's not right.
Yeah, that's not.
That I burned too many bridges in my life to where there's people, because of those burned bridges, that I don't have communication with anymore. And, God knows what he's doing. He does his thing, and I trust him. But I also feel responsible for my actions, for how I did close off some doors of communication where now I could really see that would have been beneficial to the person. Especially you look at them on social media and stuff, you see that they're not living their best life now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, so busy, right? Being under Satan's yoke. And that kind of underscores this last weekend on how important it was to disconnect, to get away, and to focus in on God and let him speak into yourself, and let you know you are all the promises. You are loved, you are called, you are the elect, you are my chosen you are the apple of my eye.
all
you're
that.
not all that good stuff, and yeah. So it was a very, very powerful weekend.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm glad it all went good. Yeah, the busy thing is
Being under Satan's yoke.
yeah, that's good. I think I don't think just as a general statement to say being busy is bad, but I definitely could see how it could be I feel like anything that can keep you distracted from whatever you should be focused on is like that's the problem, which it could just be busy.
Yeah.
That'll keep you from focusing on whatever it is God wants you to focus on. Because I definitely know people that get all wrapped up in their ministry or just church stuff in general, and they get so wrapped up in it and so busy with it that they kind of start missing the point of stuff, you know?
You miss the mark completely.
So I could definitely see that. But, you could also be busy doing God's work. And I don't know. Maybe it's just not the right word, but
yeah. Maybe it was one of those kind of acronyms.
But it's got an acronym. It's good.
Yeah, so it fits. But I think we're approaching our time here. We're already at an hour. But I want to read this, and this is what we read today in class, and it's from C.S. Lewis. And if you know anything about C.S. Lewis, this dude was a monster for the faith. But check this out. It's from his book that he wrote called The Screwtape Letters, and I'm just going to read it. Satan called a worldwide convention of demons. In his opening address, he said, "We can't keep Christians from going to church. We can't keep them from reading their Bibles and knowing the truth. We can't even keep them from forming an intimate relationship with their Savior. Once they gain that connection with Jesus, our power over them is broken. So let them go to their churches. Let them have their covered dish dinners, but steal their time, so they don't have time to develop a relationship with Jesus Christ. This is what I want you to do," said Satan. "Distract them from gaining hold of their Savior and maintaining that vital connection throughout their day." "How shall we do this?" his demon shouted. "Keep them busy in the non-essentials of life and invent innumerable schemes to occupy their minds," he answered. "Tempt them to spend, and borrow. Persuade them to work 6 to 7 days each week, 10 to 12 hours a day, so they can afford their empty lifestyles. Keep them from spending time with their children. As their families fragment, soon their homes will offer no escape from the pressures of work. Overstimulate their minds so that they cannot hear that still, small voice. Entice them to listen to music wherever they drive. To keep the TVs, PCs, and their mobile devices going constantly in their home and see that every store and restaurant in the world plays non-biblical music constantly. This will jam their minds and break that union with Christ. Fill the coffee tables with magazines and newspapers. Pound their minds with the news and social media 24 hours a day. Invade their driving moments with billboards. Flood their mailboxes and inboxes with junk mail, mail-order catalogs, sweepstakes, and every kind of newsletter and promotional offering free products, services, and false hopes. Even in their recreation, let them be excessive. Have them return from their recreation, even in their recreation, let them be excessive. Even them in their recreation, exhausted. Keep them too busy to go out in nature and reflect on God's creation. Send them to amusement parks, sporting events, plays, concerts, and movies instead. Keep them busy. And when they meet for spiritual fellowship, involve them in gossip and small talk so that they leave with troubled consciences. Crowd their lives with so many good causes that they have no time to seek power from Jesus. Soon they will be working in their own strength, sacrificing their health and family for the good of the cause. It will work. It was quite a plan. The demons went eagerly to their assignments, causing Christians everywhere to get busier and more rushed, going here and there, having little time for their God or their families, having no time to tell others about the power of Jesus to change lives. I guess the question is, has the devil been successful in his schemes? You be the judge. Busy.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think for my own, I don't know what the word is. Instead of saying everybody's busy, I would say everybody's distracted. That, to me, that fits better. But I totally agree with what they're saying. Yeah, I feel like so many issues that people have is just from them losing focus and being distracted in everything. When you were reading that, I was thinking of my sister did this series at some point on the Sabbath, just talking about the Sabbath. Why do we have the Sabbath? When's the Sabbath? Just all that kind of stuff. And how important it is to have a Sabbath and just to have a day of rest. And I feel like if I ever find myself not having a day to sit down and go take a nap and just this is the day where I'm going to chill, I'm so unproductive with the rest of my week,
Right.
and just mentally drained. And it's so important for me to just have a day to go sit down and just chill. Which on my Sabbath, it's Sundays, so I'm still like
Working.
I'm still going for the first half of the day, but just to have the second to say after church, I'm gonna go eat lunch and then I'm gonna go take a nap.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna chill that evening, depending what all is going on. I'm gonna sit around, and this is a day where it's okay for me to sit around, because I have this. Because most of the stuff that I'm working on, just in my own personal life and career and the career goals and all that stuff,
Right.
It's stuff that it's not something I'm going to go clock in at a job and get taken. It's stuff that you're going to do in your own time.
Right.
So if I have free time from something, I'm always like, I got to be working on it. If I'm not working on it, I feel like I'm being lazy, or you know what I mean? So for me to have a day where I say it's okay to not work on stuff and to relax and get ready to go so that tomorrow you can be effective is really important for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, tonight what we're talking about, it's just, let this be your daily reminder, your weekly reminder on how important it is to unplug, even though you have to plug in to hear this. But,
Plug in and plug out.
Yeah, but it's important to unplug and understand that whenever you do that, don't fill your time with something else that's just going to take your time. You got to be absolutely intentional to spend time with your wife, with your kids, with self-development, time with the Lord,
With God, with yourself.
all of the above. And then for the parents that are out there, I deal with the result of y'all's bad parenting. I hate to say it that way, but that's true.
I love for you to say it that way.
that I see firsthand the result of dad not having too much time for the kids, or the result of dad coming home with a bad attitude, and how that trickles over to the mom, and they're arguing in front of their kids, and now that's providing a framework for that student, that young individual, and that is letting them know that they can act or they're supposed to act. You're setting up the expectation on how they are supposed to act whenever they are in relationships with people that are supposed to be the most important, the ones that they're supposed to love the most and hold dearest. And it's toxic and it hurts people. And that is a result of, whenever all that happens, it brings about shame in their life. They have no motivation for their future or for their present, and forget about the future.
Yeah.
And that's why this generation of young kids, I don't even know what generation that is now, maybe Z, or I lost track, but this generation of kids, you can take all the generations that have come before them, lump them all together, and the amount of attempted suicides and people that are anxious and depressed,
It's off the charts.
it's off the charts with this generation. This generation as a whole, right? You can stack up all the previous generations since recorded history, and this generation has had more suicide attempts, more people just lost in depression, and that is an absolute result of terrible parenting. And there's no more parents in the home anymore.
Yeah.
We're all too busy.
It's good.
Being under Satan's yoke.
There you go.
Consider it.
I think that's a good way to end it. Thanks for coming on last minute, helping us out, Caesar.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. Maybe we'll get lucky and get to have you on some more at some point, but we'll see, man.
We love you.
We love you.
This is The Refuge Project.